Okay, now, first of all, welcome everybody. My name is Jussi-Pekka Kurtti, but it's easy just to say Jussi or JP. I think it makes my life easier, your life easier. And today, first of all, I want to thank the IIHF for having me here and the German Hockey Association. It's an honor to be here in front of you guys. And today, I'm going to talk about the lifestyle and the training of individuals in team sports. Okay. Now, why am I here? What's my background? It's a bit different. I have a degree in sports studies, master's degree, and I've been coaching and consulting for about 12 years now in 6 different countries. So I've been around, been coaching, just, everyday people, firemen, police officers, divers, housewives, stay-at-home moms. I've had clients in 7 different leagues in ice hockey alone, in Finland, in the National Soccer League, in the Floorball League, Rugby League, Australian Football League, and Bandy League. And my clients have represented Finland in 5 different sports. So, as we've been talking about before, you need to have a multi-sport background. You need to do as many sports as possible. And I'm a big fan of that. Now, today, we're going to talk about 3 cornerstones of optimal performance. There's sleep, relaxing, and recovery. Then there is individualized and clean nutrition. And the 3rd corner is progressive and wisely programmed training. But at the core of everything are the daily habits, the things that your athletes do day in, day out. Now, when you start looking at these 3 things, what do you think? Which one of these is the most important thing to fix first? Any ideas? No? Okay. Now, first of all, what I always do with my athletes, I fix their sleep, relaxing, and recovery. That's the cornerstone of everything. It doesn't matter how much you increase the training volume or how well you eat, if you don't sleep enough, if you don't recover, if your athletes don't recover, it doesn't matter. Wouldn't you agree? Because when you think about it this way, when you're tired, you have a lack of sleep, you don't have the energy to make wise choices with nutrition. You're in a hurry, you're rushing through the day, and you think about, how much macro should I have on my plate? How much carbohydrates, how much protein, how much fat? You don't care. Your players don't care. They're tired. Okay? But when you sleep enough, you're sharper, your reaction time is faster, and you have the energy to concentrate on the daily choices. What should I eat first? You have the energy to plan forwards. Right? Then, after this, when you have fixed your nutrition, you have clean nutrition, then you have more energy to train, right? And you have the right nutrition to get everything out of that training. Does that make sense? In this order. Now, if you increase the volume first, you start training more, and then you try to fix the nutrition, but you don't sleep enough. You sleep like 5 hours a night, or your players sleep 5 hours a night. It's going to be a mess. It's not going to be a progressive way. It's going to go spiraling downwards. So, first of all, about sleep. What we're covering today, I will get into some practical side of things. So I will give you some practical tools which you can use with your players, okay, in your everyday life. Okay, it's just a toolbox, but it's impossible to tell exact individual way to do things within 45 minutes, okay? So I'm going to give you a toolbox which you can use based on the experience you have with your players. Now, first of all, sleep. We're going to cover the amount and quality of sleep because that's the foundation for performance and recovery. We're going to talk a bit about how to fall asleep a bit more easily and what not to do before going to sleep. And then we're going to take a quick look on how much do the pro athletes sleep. How much do they actually put in? Now, first, improving your sleep. You need to prioritize sleep. So, aim for 7 to 8 hours of sleep per night, or the amount which makes you wake up rested. For some people, it's 6. Some people, it's 9. But most people fall within 7 to 8. Of course, there's always exceptions. Always someone coming, but this guy, my friend, he sleeps only 4 hours a night, 5 hours a night. He's all good. Yeah, of course, there's always exceptions. But I bet that this guy who sleeps only 4 hours a night doesn't have any idea how well he would perform if he would sleep 7 hours a night. Now, first of all, fix your nutrition. Leave out coffee after 6 p.m. Caffeine has a strong effect on you. Second of all, create a bat cave. With this I mean you need to have curtains which make the bedroom dark. Whenever there's sunlight coming in, it affects your brain. It tells your brain to stay awake, stay alert. Next, it's a pretty big one these days, TV, laptop, iPad, phones. They should be put aside 1 to 2 hours before going to sleep, before planning to go to sleep. Now, how many of you has a laptop or iPad or phone with you in the bed? Me sometimes? Yep. Now what about your athletes, your players? What about them? Do they have all these gadgets, all these devices in the bed? Yeah? Now I've been talking about this topic around the world, I can tell you that. And it doesn't matter if I'm talking in Belarus, or if I'm talking in Austria, or in America, it's always the same. All the coaches say that our kids these days, they don't want to leave out their phones or their laptops. And actually, the coaches and the parents, they have to collect the phones and all the electronic devices into a box or something, and then all those devices, they're just flashing and beeping there all night long. Imagine all of those devices in the hands of your athletes during the nighttime. It's going to keep them awake. Now, you can also monitor sleep with the software. For example, First Beat. I've been using that personally with my athletes. It's been giving very good results and guidelines on the quality of the sleep with my clients, and if the training is going progressively upwards, or if we're going downwards. Okay, that's a good software. It's not the only one, but I've had good experiences with that. Another one is called Bedit as well. Maybe some of you know it. Bedit, B-E-D-D-I-T. It's another one, but I don't have personally a lot of experience with that. One way to do it, have a simple questionnaire with your players. Talk with them. How much sleep do you get per night? What time do you go to bed? What time do you wake up? Do you wake up in the middle of the night? Is it consistent? Do you sleep in a room with electronic devices? Just talk with them. And the more you get yes answers, the bad answers, then you start fixing the situation individually. Again, these are tools that should be used, but case by case. You cannot tell everyone to do the same thing. Different players have different problems. And when it comes to nutrition, you can lure in sleep, especially with these. For example, oatmeal porridge in the evening. It's warm, it's easy to digest, makes you feel a bit tired, makes you feel good. Kids, they get the evening warm milk, makes them fall asleep. Some good quality dairy, for example, Greek yogurt, which is fermented. Some bananas with some potassium, some potatoes or sweet potatoes, brown rice. For example, dinner example, you can have a brown rice, chicken, some avocado, salad with some seeds. It's pretty complete and nice dinner. The main point being some good quality carbohydrates in the evening. Okay? They make your brain secrete insulin and serotonin. It makes you feel good. They make you feel relaxed. They make you fall asleep easier When you combine that with the dark room, no phones, no devices, it shouldn't be a problem to fall asleep. But if you give your kids, if the players, if they eat sugar in the evening while watching an action series in a room full of lights, I don't think they're going to fall asleep easily. What do you guys think? Yeah, you agree? And yeah, it's not only the kids, it's also the adults. We are struggling with the same problems these days. It's our society these days. But now that you know how important sleep is, how it affects you, how it affects your athletes, start thinking about it, okay? I'm not saying that you should do all of these things straight away, but think about it, beginning with one habit, okay? It's habit-based learning. And based on outcome, you continue. Now, how much sleep do the pros get? On the left side, Mr. Tennis player, Federer, 11 to 12 hours. That's heaps. Lindsey Vonn, 9. Usain Bolt, 8 to 10. It's LeBron James, 12. And again, exception, Tiger Woods. I'm not sure if he has this amount of sleep after the scandal or before that. Not sure about that, but I don't know. But again, there's always an exception. For example, based on the studies, the tennis players, they increase their hitting accuracy by 42% when they're sleeping enough. By 42%. They hit the ball. They aim better. Okay? And swimmers, when they sleep more, it provides them with a 17% improvement of reaction at the blocks when they start to swim. Okay? For example, Formula One drivers. I know a lot of drivers, I know a lot of coaches in that world, and they're stressing sleep more than anything. They're going through different time zones all the time. And what they do, they make specific time zone programs for the drivers to follow. Okay? Because when you're driving a car, which goes 200 km an hour, you don't want to be reacting slowly because you've been sleeping badly. Okay? So that's the number one thing. Now just food for thought. How do you sleep, relax, and recover yourself? And how about your athletes? I'm not saying that you need to discuss the matter right now and have a discussion, but just food for thought you can discuss later on the breaks. And then, what could you change positively in your own life and in your athlete's life? You know your players. What would be the first thing to do with them? Okay, let's move on. Now that we have fixed the sleeping part, then we can go into individualized and clean nutrition. Again, I'm going to give you tools which you can use on a daily basis in the life of your athletes. I'm not telling you that this is the truth and the only truth. Okay? Nutrition-wise, what are we covering today? What's the purpose of a sound nutrition? What is it? What's the purpose of it? We're going to go through optimal portion size and how your athletes or yourself should feel afterwards. We're going to go through a Sunday ritual. It's a pretty easy one. Shopping list and eating healthy while traveling. Then we're going to talk a little bit about somatotypes and nutrition. Should you pay attention to your athletes' somatotypes? Okay? Now, what is sports nutrition? It achieves 3 goals. Your athlete's health, body composition, and performance goals. Those 3 goals, they all need to be there. If your athlete is performing well, but is ill all the time, then something is wrong. Okay? If they're healthy, they're fit, but they're not performing on the ice, they're lacking energy, then something is missing again. Okay? So you need to take a look at these 3 things when you look at the nutrition of your athletes. Now, athletes, they typically train with a high volume of exercise. So large energy intake is required they need to eat a lot. Okay? They're not aiming to be on the stage. They're not bikini fitness models. Okay? They need to perform. Now, athletes, they train to force positive physiological adaptation. And that only happens in the presence of the right macro and micronutrient blend. And athletes, they have to maintain ideal body weight, ideal body fat levels in order to be the best version of themselves on the ice. Okay? It doesn't have to be 9.7% of fat. There's a bit wider range. Okay? But any excess fat for athletes, it's taking their performance down on the ice and off the ice, of course. Now, this means training and eating appropriately to achieve and maintain an ideal body weight. Okay. I'm going to touch base on carbs, protein, and fats. I will not go into details, okay, but just to touch base, you will get this presentation later online, so you can take a look more into it. When it comes to carbs, most part of the day should be fiber-rich. Veggies, fruit, legumes, whole grains, brown rice, whole grain, because they have time-release breakdown. They release energy all day long for the athletes. They enhance satiety, so athletes feel fuller for longer. They control the blood sugar, they control the energy levels, and they control the body composition. Now, when it comes to refined carbs, all that sugary good stuff, white bread, white pasta, sugary muesli, they should be consumed mostly before and after the exercise, okay? Some individuals can have them or should have them only after. Most athletes should have them before and after. Okay, it's individual. Because during the exercise and after the exercise, in your body, your insulin sensitivity is high. Okay? Your liver and your muscle glucose uptake is rapid. It's very fast. So all the carbs you eat go straight into your muscle, they go straight into your liver to be used again and to help you to grow more muscle or to get stronger or to recover. Okay? So the fuel is used the way it should be used. Okay? Then, just to give you a bit of a picture of hidden sugar, this is a picture that we have in Finland. There's some yogurt there, and about 12 pieces of sugar. You can see there's fitness muesli. This whole package has like 30 pieces of sugar. And then there's the Weatherpix. It doesn't have that much, but for example, Angelben's, like the sauces that you use while you're cooking, a lot of hidden sugar. And this is the stuff that the kids and people eat day in, day out. Just to give you a thought, I'm not saying that never eat these things again, but so that you are aware and you can make better choices, okay? Again, I don't believe in black and white thinking or approach, okay? There is no such thing as black and white. Well, there is, but it hardly ever leads to good results. Okay, next thing, protein. Basically, someone told me once that if it had a mother, eat it. If it had a mother at some point, eat it. It's protein. Okay, it's a living organism. It's an animal, so eat it. But yeah, well, that's not always a good advice. So, just to be clear, dietary protein is critical. You need it all day long. Your athletes need it all day long. Because in your body, you have an amino acid pool. And it's like a sink without a drain block. Okay? It keeps on leaking all the time. You need to keep on filling it. Okay? You need to keep the tap on. Okay? Otherwise, it's going to get empty. So you need to keep on eating protein all day long. Okay? Preferably on each meal. Primary sources, meat, poultry, eggs, fish, milk, and cheese. They all have complete amino acid profile. Then again, if for some reason you or your athletes choose not to eat meat, it's fine for me. Everyone has their own reasons. They may be based on their religion or the way they look at life, or it doesn't matter. But if you choose to be without animal protein sources, you need to combine different sources from the nature because none of them have complete profile of the essential amino acids. It gets a bit more complex, but it's possible. Then, fat. This is the most controversial part of macronutrients that I've ever talked about. But I just try to keep it simple. Now, the fats are divided in two main groups. The saturated fats, which are solid at room temperature. If you take a piece of butter, it's solid here, now. Now, the second part, unsaturated fats. The softer or the liquid at room temperature. For example, olive oil, avocados, peanuts, pecans, okay, all of the oils which are there. Now, just to be clear, just eat both of these groups in balance, okay? I will not go too deep into omega-6, omega-3 balance and the inflammation in the body. It's just way out of the topic today. It's going to take another 2 hours. But just keep in mind that all of these should be consumed in balance. And the saturated fats, the hard fats, they've been having a bad rep, like causing heart attacks, causing all kinds of health problems, the world economical crisis, everything. But based on the latest results, saturated fat intake does not cause a lot of health problems as long as the sugar intake is low at the same time or moderate. But if you have a high intake of sugar and refined carbohydrates and saturated fats at the same time, then you're going to have problems. Then your athletes are going to have problems. Was it simple enough? Yep. Okay. Then, simple way to start with your athletes. How much? With my own hands. It's a simple rule. With my own hands. To begin with, 2 palms of protein-dense foods on a plate, on each meal. Which that I mean without the fingers, okay? Just the palm part. This part here, okay? On the plate, 2 of them. It can be chicken, it can be meat. Then 2 fists of vegetables on each meal. On the plate, easy. And then 2 cupped handfuls of carb-dense foods, okay? Like rice, berries, quinoa, pasta. You can begin with that. Then 2 thumps of fat-dense foods on the plate. Or they can be used also while you're cooking the food, okay? And with your kids, their own hands, not your hands, okay? So don't make your 5-year-old eat a meal based on your hand size, okay? They're going to be like, what? Mom, I don't want to. Dad, I don't want to. Okay, and then again, after this, outcome-based adjusting. With nutrition, you hardly ever get it right straight away. Boom. Okay, you begin somewhere, you begin with the baseline, then you adjust it based on the results. Same thing with coaching sleep. Same thing with coaching strength and conditioning. Okay, you want to see what's going on, and then based on those results, you tweak it, you twist it, right? Now, you start adjusting 1 meal at a time. Okay, for example, you can take out carbs from 1 meal. Or you can take out carbs from only breakfast. But don't take out carbs straight away from all of the meals. Your athletes are going to crash straight away. And about the somatotypes. There's 3 kinds of somatotypes. They're called the endomorphs, the mesomorphs, and the ectomorphs. And they all, well, I don't know, maybe it's just too much for today. But they all have a different macronutrient split. They all need, as a baseline, different amount of carbs, different amount of protein, different amount of fat, okay? But if you just stick with this, you begin with this, you're just fine, okay? Then based on the results, the energy levels, and the body composition of your athletes, you make the changes, okay? Now, people always come to me and ask, like, what do the pro athletes, how do they eat? Like, are they on some fancy super-duper diet? Southwest Beach Zone, whatever, Atkins. I'm like, no, they're not. They're eating a healthy and sound food, or sound nutrition, like balanced nutrition. Give you an example of one of my players. This is Ville.
Post-practice lunch. Here we have 2 fists of brown rice, over 200 grams of organic chicken, then lots of vegetables, strawberries, carrots, peppers, then a water for the drink. Thank you.
So, the baseline being that Ville is a U20 world champion 2014. He played for Team Finland in the World Cup last fall, and he played at the World Championships last year with Team Finland. The main thing being that even top athletes, they don't eat super duper fancy food. They eat just normal food. They're normal people in the end, okay? So don't look after some fancy things or fancy fat diets, like John also said about the training programs. There is no such things. Basic things first. When you have the basic things there in balance, the results will come your way. Then, how should I feel after a balanced meal? Very easy way to track. Immediately after, you're probably still a bit hungry because your gut hasn't been telling your brain that you are full. It takes about 15 to 20 minutes for your gut to tell your brain that you're actually full. So don't rush, or don't tell your players to rush to get some more food straight away, if they're struggling with their weight already, for example. 1 hour after, you should feel satisfied with no desire to eat another meal. 2 hours after, you may start to feel a bit hungry, like you could eat something, but the feeling is not overwhelming. It's not like you need to rush to the fridge to eat something. Then 3 to 4 hours, you should feel like it's time for the next meal. On a scale 1 to 10, you're feeling 7 or 8, okay? Depending on your activity levels, if you've been training. Then 4 hours or more, you're hungry, okay? Like nothing is getting between you and the fridge. You need food now, okay? Period. Then you're going to wear a shirt which says, I'm sorry for what I said when I was hungry. If you let your hunger get this far, or your athletes do so, obviously they're making some mistakes with the nutritional choices. Okay, then something has to be changed. Again, outcome-based adjusting. If they're hungry straight away 2 hours after, increase their portion size. Super simple shopping list, the backbone of your grocery trip. You choose beforehand 3 options out of all 5 groups. Number 1, the veggies. Example, broccoli, carrots, tomatoes. Berries and fruits can be blueberries, strawberries, apples. Protein, go for salmon, beef, chicken. With the fats, go for almonds, go for avocado, olive oil. And then for the whole grain and starchy carbs, you go for quinoa, you go for sweet potatoes, you go for oatmeal. There you go. This is the backbone of your shopping. Now, it doesn't have to be exactly salmon, beef, and chicken. It can be anything. It can be kangaroo and reindeer and moose. It doesn't matter. But as long as you choose 3 options from each group, then of course on top of that, you can add things. You can add there like yogurt or whatever, occasional things that you want to have, or your athletes want to have. But this will give you the main bulk, the foundation of the shopping trip. And I can tell you that the youngsters, they've been living with their parents all their life. They're moving on their own. They have no freaking idea what to buy by themselves. There's no more mom cooking for them, no more dad taking care of that. So they need to do it on their own. So this is something they can use by themselves. Next thing, fuel your travels. Some teams have all of this in order, some teams don't. Depends where you coach, which level you coach. Now, first of all, choose the best location. Beforehand, Google the hotels. Give a call. Find out, Google. Okay, do some detective work. Find out the closest grocery stores, restaurants, and gyms. And choose the best location based on that combo. Okay? So you can train, your players can train when needed. They get to shop good quality food when needed. And if you have to go and eat out, there's a good restaurant close by which also serves healthy options. Okay? Or you can choose a room with a kitchenette. Then you can shop on your way from the airport and make the meal yourself. That's one way to do it. Or shop some items beforehand. Protein powders, easy to carry, fruits, veggies, nuts, some pretty easy stuff that you can have with you all the time. You can carry a big cooler. Some of my individual athletes who want to be on top of their game, no matter where they go, they do this. It's not the thing for everyone, but some people like to do it. It's up to you. And you don't have to carry the big cooler just because of carrying. You can also fill it with food, you know. And then you can obtain restaurant menus in advance. Okay, you can go online, look at the menu, you can make a pick, or you can have 4 or 5 options ready for your players. So when you get there, you're going to tell them, there's 5 different options, choose from these. They're all healthy, balanced options. So you don't have to just walk in the dark and just go somewhere. Oh, they serve only hamburgers and fries. Oh, damn. So prepare. Bring protein supplements. You can always carry an emergency shake with you. There can be powdered veggies included, some protein, some greens, plus some fats on the side, some nuts. So if you're starting to get super hungry and angry, or athletes are starting to get there, the kids are starting to be cranky or tired, just chug it in. Easy, fast. Then, they say knowledge is power, but knowledge is nothing without action. So when you have all this knowledge you've been learning here in the conference, take it into action. Okay? For example, if you're eating out, where can you get the most bang for your buck? Okay, this is what we talked about also during the previous slide. So choose the best options for restaurants. If you're cooking it yourself, could you make, or your wife or your husband make bigger amounts at the same time? So you don't have to think about the cooking every single day when you come home. The kids are hungry. Before the practice, the food needs to be there. So you have to think about it every single time. You have things prepared in advance. You can chop veggies beforehand. You can freeze them so that you have unprocessed food always available. It's one option. And this is my favorite Sunday ritual. When I'm at home on Sundays, when I'm not somewhere around, when I'm for once home, I prepare always, on one pan, I have 1 kilo of minced meat, organic preferably. On the other pan, I have 1 kilo of chicken. And in the oven, I have 2 or 3 kilos of salmon. Everything getting ready at the same time. So after an hour, after 2 hours, I have them all ready there. I take boxes and I just put the food in the boxes. I freeze some of it I have it in my fridge. So when I come home, and when the kids need food, I have the protein there already. I have the minced meat, or I have the chicken, or I have whatever protein source available. Then on top of that, I may just make some pasta or some quinoa or whatever. It just makes your whole week a lot easier. It doesn't have to be Sunday. It can be any day of the week when you're not stressed, when you're not in a hurry, when you're not working. It can be any day of the week when you have more time to do it. Just failing to prepare is preparing to fail. Just prepare. Think forwards. Think forwards. Be proactive, not reactive. There's no worse feeling than coming home after work or training and you see your fridge is empty or there's food but it needs to be prepared. Okay, let's talk a little bit about training. Now we've been covering sleep, nutrition, we talk a bit about training. Now with my athletes, I start working with them when they're 16, 17. Okay, so this, what I'm telling here, is mostly applicable to ages above that, from that on. Now when I'm talking about training here, I'm talking about the off-season training. There's two very common models, the linear periodization and the undulating periodization. Now, the first thing to do is you need to make your athletes stronger. Strength is the mother of all qualities. When your athletes are strong, all of that strength is working as a building blocks to get them stronger, and to get them faster, more agile, okay, to be better coordinated. Whatever are the preferred qualities based on sport-specific analysis. Now, with this, as the summer goes by, on the left side you see the beginning of the summer. The volume of the training is very high, a lot of reps, a lot of exercises, and the intensity, as much as it stresses your nervous system, is pretty low when it comes to strength training. Now with the linear model, the volume goes down as the summer goes by, and the intensity goes up. So the central nervous system gets more and more stressed during the summer. Now, I like to use the linear model with my beginner athletes. If their training age is below 2 years, let's go with the linear and don't even mind about the undulating. Okay? With more advanced athletes, I choose the model below. But here we have the model made very simple. So here we have the linear model. In the beginning, you have the structural phase of the training. Then you have the basic strength phase. Then you have the sport-specific phase. An example of linear model. First, you have the accumulation phase 1, which is more structural. Then you have the accumulation and the intensification 1, which can be functional hypertrophy. Then you go into specific preparation phase, halfway of the off-season. There's accumulation 2, which can be a relative strength, and then intensification 2, which is sport-specific attribute, which is whatever needed. This is one way to do it. Working. Yeah, here we go. Now then, energy system training. Other part of it. With sprints, cross training, modified strongman training. It should be sport-specific. Okay? With my athletes, my personal choice, I don't do a lot of cycling or uphill sprints, especially in the beginning of the summer. All the hockey players, they're on the ice 42 to 45 weeks of the year in a position like this, where the hip flexors are tight as heck, and the internal rotators of the shoulders also tight. The lower back is stressed and tired. If I put them on a bicycle straight away when the May begins, or in May or June, it doesn't fix the problem. The lower back needs rest, and the hip flexors need to be opened up if they're tight, and the internal rotators of their shoulders need to be opened up. And the main thing with all of this is to increase their mobility and to prevent injuries. Just like John said, I agree with him on that, absolutely 100%. Now, contrary to strength training during the summer, the energy system training begins with high intensity, so it's very stressing for the central nervous system, and it ends with high volume, which is less stressing for the central nervous system. Because when you look at the strength training during the summer, in the beginning of the summer, the central nervous system is not stressed much. In the end of the summer, the central nervous system, the CNS, so-called CNS, is stressed very much. Now, if This type of training, the EST, would also go the same way. The CNS would be highly stressed in the end of the summer. So that's why with the EST, I go the opposite. The CNS, the nervous system, gets less and less stressed during the summer. Does it make sense? Yeah, good. So with this training, I always begin with my athletes. I begin with anaerobic lactic power. Then I move into anaerobic lactic capacity. Midway of the summer, it may be after 6 weeks, maybe after 4 weeks. It's 6 weeks if I'm lucky. I have enough time to work with my athletes during the off-season. It's unlucky for the player because didn't make it till the end during the season. But nevertheless, midway of the summer, you change into anaerobic lactic power and then into capacity. Okay? Then again, you can watch this presentation online. You can watch the slides later. And here's one example of modified strongman training. This is a quick one. It's a simple way to do it. Like with modified strongman training, with your athletes, you can make them exhausted. You can drain the energy system that is required in a safe way. Okay? Needs to be controlled. For example, that exercise, there's very safe hip extension. There's very safe stress for the quads and for the legs in total. Okay? If you put them front squatting and lunging and everything with high intensity, injuries are going to be there sooner or later. Now, next thing would be to go through the 4 phases of structural balance, what the main goals are. But I'm running out of time, so you can check this out later. There's the functional. There's the relative strength. There's the power. As the summer goes by, we move on. Each one of these blocks are between 2 and 3 weeks. That's one example, one that leads. This is the end of the summer.
Yksi, kaksi. Erittäin hyvä. Hyvä. Vielä 2.
I'm sorry, it's in Finnish.
1, 2, ajo. Hienoa. Vielä 1. Ja. Yes. No niin. Erittäin hyvä. Avot.
And that was one example of contrast training and angle-specific strength training. So he made a stop at an angle that's specific when he's on the ice. And he tries to develop power and strength from that angle with that hip angle. And out. Okay, next thing, to keep the results rolling in, you need to define a clear priority per training phase. Don't try to do everything at the same time, okay? Bam, 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 bam. Phase by phase, you move forwards. Okay? Now why? Your body adapts quickly in whatever stress it has. So just before it gets adapted, you change things up. Not too much, but you make something different. Now then again, just a food for thought. How do you program your off-season training with your athletes? Okay? Thank you. I guess that's it. I'm running out of time.